Welcome to the Galen Trombley Show. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share the episode. You can follow me on social media at Galen Trombley. I hope you enjoy the show.
Greetings. Please hold for a very important message. Lightspeed sequence initiated. How may I help you?
Bonjour.
Security breach.
The truth shall set you free. Awesome. It's a miracle.
Stabilizing. 3, 2, 1. Mission complete.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Sticking straight up.
All right. Well, I've been wearing a hat all day, so folks, we're live. Rolling start. Guest today, friend of the podcast. I think the most frequent guest.
Yep. That's still my title.
Is that a statistic? Can you pull that up?
What?
Just so there. Yeah.
Oh.
Just a little more direct. Guest is Anna Hewitt-Channell. She started originally as Anna Hewitt, got married, had a couple kids.
Yep.
Moved right into adulthood. But the whole time never lost her spunk. Still comes back. Still a fun guest. So we're
just a little more tired.
So anybody a little more tired? Yes. You can't you don't show it. But one of my favorite guests, and this is a podcast I guarantee you about nothing. So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, listen. If you don't,
it's not about nothing. We actually have a couple cool things coming up.
See, this is why I try to get the sound. You just bursted right through. See, I gotta.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I just gotta like tone it down. You started on like an 8. I gotta bring you down to like a 5. Because your high point will still get to like a 9, 10.
No, we have a lot coming up.
We do. I mean, I shouldn't say it's not about nothing. It's just there's really no format to it. I don't have any notes about her. We just go off the cuff. We look up a lot of cool stuff. So we're just gonna roll. So what do you want to talk about first, Anna? Because I feel like we've already had a full podcast before we even started the show.
Well, I am most excited about For the Kids.
We're just gonna dive right into that.
Yeah,
dive right into For the Kids Charity Golf Classic.
So excited.
Shameless plug. We actually rebranded it this year to the For the Kids Invitational. We thought it had less wording, looked cooler. My cohorts putting it on. Shout out to Jared Burns, came up with the new graphic, and the rest of us voted on it. And we liked it, and we're rolling with that. So For the Kids Charity Golf Classic, formerly. Now it's For the Kids. I'm looking it up. I don't even know what it'd be called. Charity Golf Classic. It's now, it's now For the Kids Invitational. I'm just looking at some old ones here that we have online. But long and short, we've raised over $40,000 since 2019 when we started as a 2-person event. It's now up to 24 players. We do have some plans potentially next year to expand the tournament out to a separate event, which would be cool. That's still kind of in the hopper, being worked on. But as of right now, I think we are, from just fundraising alone, I think last year we raised over 20,000 or about 20,000. I think right now we're about close to 15 grand.
Oh my God.
And we still have most of our push is going to be coming in over the next 2 months. So the date is September 21st. This is, plenty of time if you're listening to this live or, within the week or whatever. So if you guys want to donate, all the money stays local. It goes to local children's organizations. Each year we kind of change up who we give money to. We typically give it to multiple organizations. But the money, again, stays local. It goes to children's charities that direct local children directly. I said that multiple times in different variations, but if you guys want to just message me, say you're interested in supporting, or we have different sponsorship levels. Right now, most of our bigger sponsorships have been taken. We do have a lot of still big sponsorships, but our title sponsor and team sponsor and things like that have already been taken. And then any donation, is still going to go towards it. So even if you want to donate $5, $10, $20, it all goes, and it all helps us build. So I think our goal this year was to try to raise 25 grand on it, which would be really dope. But as of right now,
God, that picture, go back.
The one we just was it Control Shift T? There it is for Mac lovers. Brings up your that's a cool little shortcut if people don't know. Command Shift T. So if you close this is on Chrome on a MacBook. If you close the window, which we all do by mistake, you're like, crap, I want to go back to that. Just hit that button. It'll bring up the one you just deleted. This one right here. So this was number 2.
That's so funny.
Yeah, when we ended up expanding it to a team event, we had multiple
Look
captains.
at how intense Ryan Lee is.
I know, right?
staring at Jared.
And the funny thing is, on that photo, which was actually, we didn't think about it that well, Jared was on my team. So we actually did this kind of backwards. I'm noticing this for the first time. Ryan was with Matt. But it's fine. But yeah, back to the golf tournament. We've raised over 40. That's not counting this year. So this year we'll be over 50 grand. Probably the goal would be probably 60 grand this year to be able to hand out 20 grand. That'd be 60 grand in 6 years? So
Yeah.
$10,000 a year, which is, I think for most golf tournaments locally, that is probably the biggest.
I mean, yeah.
My guess is maybe the chamber.
Yeah,
They
the
bring
chamber
a
is a
lot,
big one.
But I still think it's a sizable, noticeable difference in the community. So if you guys can do it,
It's
reach
fun
out.
too, though.
And DFCU is a team sponsor
Yep.
against
Very excited.
against the other credit union.
You First Federal Credit Union.
Okay. What's your predictions? Teams haven't been set. My
Well-
team is DFCU though, just so you know.
Yeah, you're repping DFCU.
I can't wait for the gear, the swag.
That's what I'm most excited for.
The uniform.
Yeah. Well, in true Trombley fashion, I expect a win.
I mean, if you're a betting person,
And if
I'm
you
not-
lose, we will have friendship issues.
well, I a lot of it is assembling the team. I don't play particularly well. I'm a player captain. I usually every year pick up 1 point, but I probably lose 1 to 1.5 points. People, I'm not going to go into the scoring system. Long and short, I'm like mediocre at best. But my history of assembling a winning team in this tournament is very good. So I put my captainship as like let's say an A-. My playing skills maybe like a C+. So I'm a strong B. I'm a strong B
Well,
level
we are
person.
still at DSU in it to win it. So
I'm pumped. And DFC, have you come up with the new, or have you? Is the new DFCU logo out there now in the public? Like, has the rebrand? I say rebrand, but like the style.
So we changed. So it's confusing. We still have the same logo, our round blue, royal blue DFCU.
Yeah, it's not like a rebrand at all, but
no, it kind of is though. We kind of rebranded because we had a little bit of orange mixed in.
really?
Yeah, we had a little bit of orange because our Casasa Savers the Casasa brand is orange. And so like click that one right here. So we have the mountains obviously, but now we're working primarily with blues. I actually in the last month just got our our fonts changed.
Oh, you're talking about this orange,
Yes, that is the orange we were working with.
which is funny. I always thought that was red.
It looks kind of red.
Yeah, okay.
So I used to call it stop sign orange.
Yeah.
Because that's what it looked like.
So this is the logo now.
yeah, that's
yeah.
our logo. That's been our logo, I think, since the beginning of time.
But
But don't quote me on that. But we're still working with that one. But for the most part now, we like that font you see where it says small enough to know you, large enough to serve you. We don't have that font type anymore. We have a more modern font. I think it's a little bit more welcoming, less techy. We're working with all over the color blocking of blues. This year we are going to be
did you say all over color blocking?
like if you're looking at blues as a whole, we're all in the spectrum of blues.
Oh, she said
Yeah.
Oliver.
So no, all over.
I was like, is that all over? Okay.
So yeah, we're team blue. Team blue everything.
Is it dark? Is dark blue or light blue? Like,
I use a lot of navy and royal.
so darker.
Yeah.
Darker spectrum.
Yeah. And then starting hopefully by
Like you're
I
like
want to
right
say
here.
fall. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
By fall, I really want to dive into redoing our website with a rebrand. That will be very big because the website is actually from before I started at DFCU. So my boss, Brad, and I have a lot of dreams for the website. So yeah, where you see all that orange, we're going to be moving that out. It just doesn't flow well together. I don't think the colors.
Who
I'm a
made your
branding-
website? Casasa?
Yeah, it's Casasa.
Gotcha.
I don't know who made it before Casasa, because when I joined DFCU, we were already with Casasa. I don't know if there was a conversion from another browser or not.
Have you built a website before?
Yes, I hate it.
What'd you use?
WordPress. I've also done Squarespace.
Isn't a Wix, Squarespace, WordPress, those are all website builders?
Yep.
Huh. I got to build one. I got to build one soon.
Squarespace is the most user-friendly if you're not familiar with it, but I think WordPress, if you can code, WordPress is, you can do way more on WordPress, but you have to be a coding like master.
So like the layman person going on can't use WordPress.
The what?
Like layman, like the person that's not techie.
Yeah.
Like if I don't understand,
no.
I've never built
it's
one
not
before.
worth. You would have a lot of hiccups. You run it. Or the other thing you could do is like you could take a course on WordPress and learn the generic basics and kind of go from there. Because the cool thing is now you can just Google things. You can Google coding and stuff. But WordPress, I think, is a lot like Adobe. It's hard as heck. Hard as heck. You have to be a master, I think, to really get it.
At WordPress?
Yeah, WordPress is hard for me. I don't love WordPress. But I'm also not a graphic designer. Like this, creating a website isn't something that I like woke up deciding I wanted to do.
So they have so Wix.
I'm not familiar with Wix.
I've just heard it a lot. Like Wix, Google
I've heard of
Sites,
Weebly.
Squarespace, Weebly, WordPress. I've heard of those. Shopify.
Yeah.
Wow, good for basic sites, but it does include SEO. Like I'd want SEO.
Yeah, personal websites, portfolios, blogs. Yeah.
With a focus on design and aesthetics. So you said Squarespace is your favorite?
Yeah, that was the one that I found to be most user-friendly. And I really liked their customer service. So, like, that was my other beef with WordPress. The customer service was awful. So the other problem is with all of the, like, complicated tools on WordPress, I didn't feel like I had enough help if something went wrong.
Yeah,
we had WordPress for a long time at my old job, and it used to make me want to pull my hair out.
What about Wix? I got to look into that more. What about was it what was your Elbella?
Oh my God, Elbell.
Elbell?
Ew, let's not talk about Elbell.
Is that still live?
No, God, no.
You-
I don't even know what happened to it.
Elbell?
Oh, now it's a boutique.
Yeah, but that's not yours.
No, I don't see mine on there.
So, like, what happens with Elbell? Like, when you had that?
I didn't I didn't repurchase the
Gotcha.
URL, so somebody else can buy it.
So I just bought 2 domain names today. I'm.
Oh yeah, you're a bulk domain purchaser.
I own a lot of domain names. So this is the only thing I can think of is that. So domain names is like once you own it, you own it because it's a pain in the butt to try to get something that you don't own. So to me, I've bought in a lot of domain names just to have the domain name. So I think if anybody's out there, they should buy their name.com. So put your full name in.
You've told me that since I first met you.
So like I own GalenTrombley.com.
Yeah.
And today I bought Galen.co because Galen.com, which I checked, someone owns it and it actually just goes to another site. It gets redirected.
Wait, type it in. What does it go to?
I have no... So Galen.com, which would be dope,
Yeah.
goes to Woolham.com. And it's unavailable,
Interesting.
which means someone must own it. But But then they're like, well, we can try to get Galen.com for you.
Type in AnnaHewitt.com.
So what I also wanted to do was...
Well, I guess that's not my name anymore, but...
So you can buy that. It's for sale.
Oh, okay. What about AnnaChannel.com?
So if you... site can't be reached. So I doubt it's owned. So if you go to like GoDaddy or whatever, that's where I bought it from. I'm sure there's other sites.
That's where I always bought the URLs was GoDaddy.
Yeah, so I go to GoDaddy, I'd buy it, it would come up. So
Yeah.
I've wanted Galen. So Galen.com I thought would be cool. So instead I couldn't get it, so I bought Galen.co, C-O, which I know is not great, but whatever. And then I also bought GalenT.com. So it's like my names. I have GalenTrombley.com,
I kind of like
GalenT.com,
GalenT.com.
and then Galen.co. I also own a bunch of other ones, but I own Trombomb.com.
Oh my God.
When me and Gina bought it like years ago,
That's so funny.
It's a mixture of our two last names. And so I've thought about that being something too. So I don't know what I'm actually going to build them into.
Trombomb? Oh my God.
But I own them.
Awesome.
So like every 3 years, I just pay a renewal subscription to get them.
Yeah.
So, but to me, it's like an insurance policy of like, I have these
names.
names.
Isn't it weird though that some URLs you can buy for like $4.99 for the whole year, and then other ones you have to pay like $85.99 a month?
Yeah.
Like,
what they get you is like 1 penny for the first year, and then it's $80 for every year after that.
Well, that's what just happened to me with my Sirius XM radio subscription. I canceled it.
Yeah.
And then they sent me an email today. I just renewed today. I spend a lot of time in the car though with my job, so I paid for it, but then I stopped because my promo ran out after I bought my car, and then I was just cutting. My husband constantly tells me to get rid of subscriptions because he's like, that stuff adds up.
Yeah.
So I went through subscriptions on my phone, and I was like, I don't really need Sirius. I can just listen to my phone. I deleted Sirius, and then every day since I did it for the last like 3 months, I have missed my XM radio every day. I'm not kidding.
What?
But they got me today with a $1 a month for 12 months.
So this is a thing, and I got this idea from his name is Rami Sethi. I don't know if you know him. He's actually got a movie. He's got a show on Netflix about budgeting and stuff. It's not where I found out about him. He has a blog called "I'll Teach You How to Be Rich," and he has a book called "I'll Teach You How to Be Rich." It's a great book. And one of the things, and it's basically around personal budgeting and stuff, but he's like he makes it very easy to learn, very practical, very like you don't feel like you're being talked down to. He's very good. So, but what he calls it is, you should cut stuff that's not important to you, but if there's stuff that's important to you, don't cut it out, because he calls it like your rich life. Like your rich life doesn't mean you're like bougie on yachts and mansions on the water. He's basically like, if you enjoy XM radio, then get XM radio.
Yep.
If you enjoy, like, some people are like, well, cut your coffee every day. Yeah, if you actually look that up, like, let's say you spend $5.
I would save so much money if I did cut my coffee every day.
Let's say you go to a coffee shop, you spend $5 a day on a drink. $5, that's, even if you went every day, which nobody goes every day because you have holidays and weekends and travel and Christmas, whatever. If you went every single day for $5, it ends up being like $1,500 a year. So the idea behind it is you probably could save $1,500 doing something else, or make $1,600 easily. But he's saying is like that little moment, which is like getting your coffee and then maybe the hour to 2 hours to drink that coffee, is for a lot of people a highlight of their day. Like me, when I make coffee and I have it first thing in the morning, whether I bring it here or have it at my house, is a highlight of my day. It's not the highlight of my day, but it is a highlight. And there's different things.
There's nothing like that first sip of coffee in the morning.
Like what stuff, so you wake up to the time you go to bed, what moments during the day are highlights for you? I'm not saying they are the best, because the best highlight of the day typically changes every day, but like, what's the thing every day you look forward to? Or if something were to happen every day, you're like, great, that happened today. It could be small, it could be a big thing. Like,
well, I look forward to my coffee every day.
Okay.
So I get up, get ready. Usually I'm like dragging in the morning and or rushing to get my kids out the door. So like that first moment, that first gulp of coffee, I'm like, oh, it's always so good. But my you know what, the only highlight that just came to mind that I look forward to every single day like clockwork, it's not even a purchase or anything. Well, I love the end of the day when I know I'm on my way home. Like, I made it through the day, getting in my car, door shut, leaving. Like the drive. Yeah, like just exiting and like the 10-minute detox of work to home.
Yeah, okay.
I am obsessed with walking in the door and greeting my kids at the end of the day.
Okay.
I literally, from the minute my day starts until the minute I go to bed, like go to the office at the end, or I'm leaving the office, I am looking forward to going home and walking in the door where I get to be like, hi, not like mom mode, like I'm home. All that enthusiasm, but that's not buying anything.
Do the boys share that enthusiasm?
Oh my God, yeah. Okay. It's the best.
Anything else that's like a moment in the day that you're like, I really, this is a thing that I really like every day?
I really like to, actually, this is kind of a subscription. I really like to have my lunch break and listen to a podcast.
Okay.
What else do I like? My problem is none of my days are the same. I don't have consistent every day.
I should say, like,
I can't really think of anything else.
Things that might happen every day / things that if they could happen every day, you'd be excited for. Meaning they do happen.
Cooking dinner.
Okay, perfect. Like, you might not do it every day, but when you do it, you're like,
I feel like I have my life together. If I can cook dinner and do the dishes, and load the dishwasher. And go to bed with the house clean.
That's a must for me every night.
Like, sometimes I'm not. We actually just did a home like renovation. I'm not kidding. My mother-in-law spent the last like week in our house redoing everything because we have literally just moved from phase to phase, and we live in a condo that is. It was Brady's grandmother's condo. Mm-hmm. So when we moved in, we moved in a hurry. I was pregnant. We needed to get out of our other house. We needed to go. Like, we were trying to just go. So we didn't really like settle it down in the most effective way. But then we had 2 children at once. So we didn't like ease into parenthood. We literally like just dove right in. Like, here we go.
Drink from a fire hose?
Yeah. And then we quickly realized when we hit crawling, we had nothing baby proof, nothing. We also live in a 3-story condo that has horrible stairs, hazards everywhere, cabinets, like things are opening all the time. It's a fiasco. Hardwood floors, so they're hitting their heads 24/7. We quickly realized we were like, okay, we have a huge project on our hands. Fast forward to now we have running children. They're running.
That's wild.
Beating each other up.
And they're what, 14, 15, 13 months?
Yeah, but they were walking. James was walking.
Almost 14 months.
Yeah, they're going to be 14 months next week on the 3rd. James was walking before he turned 1, and Elliot walked the week before he turned 1. So they were both walking at 11 months. But now they're like running. I'm not kidding. And they run opposite directions. So like you have to decide which one's in more danger, basically.
Yeah, triage.
So my mother-in-law the last like week and a half has been literally like gutting our house. She built us a playroom area because we have a huge sectional. When we moved, we bought a new couch. That was like the one big investment we made pre-babies is I needed a place to be able to like sit and like breastfeed, lounge.
The sectional?
Yes, the big gray one. You've seen it. Yeah. So we got that, but it's huge. So then we had no place for like toys. And then we quickly realized we needed to have like a playpen because they were crawling everywhere. Mm-hmm. Now they've outgrown that playpen. If I put them in the playpen because they're free roaming, oh my God, you would think I'm putting them in prison. Like the world is crumbling down. So we've now transitioned from... We had a kitchen when we moved in. We got rid of the kitchen, took the dining room table apart, put in a baby playpen, and we had like a baby area in one room. And then we have now transitioned again to that is back to being a dining room, kitchen area. And then we put a playpen, not a playpen.
In the back area?
No, in the living room now. So there's a playroom that looks like a daycare. It looks so good. It's like an IKEA daycare provider dream. And a really comfortable living space. And she also constructed like a mini mudroom. So now like having like the organization, I told Brady, I was like, I timed myself because he was out of town from Thursday to Sunday with his buddies from college. I timed myself every night just to do like a 10-second tidy. Just put the toys away where they belong, fix the couch cushions, fold the blankets, put the shoes away. And it was like 10 minutes. So I was like, Brady, no matter what we are doing at night, we need to just put our stuff away because waking up in the morning, I just feel way better. I feel like I'm like in a better like mindset when I can see the floor.
Like at our house, so every night, it's very rare if this doesn't happen. The dishes are put away. I've swept the floors. I've wiped all the counters. I've wiped down the stove. I've wiped down chairs if needed. Everything is wiped down to the point like I want the countertop to be as clean where if I put anything on it, there's no stain, there's nothing. There's no grease, there's no water, there's whatever. So no crumbs. So it is super clean. And then I also clean up the living room where we just put toys back where they should go. If there's like right now there's like crayons out. We like put the crayons back in the thing and we just get back to baseline. And like every day if I can, so one of the highlights we kind of was saying like the morning for me, coffee. That's a big one. At night, it is when all that's done and the kids go to bed. Like I think every parent knows this. Like once the kids finally are like good, they're in their room for the night, and then you're like, okay, like we have some time now. Which I always struggle with because I like getting up early in the morning. But if I get up early in the morning, I have to go to bed pretty close after the kids go to bed. And I've been taking the evenings instead to spend time with Gina versus go right to bed, which means I don't wake up as early, but it's like a trade-off I'm trying to make. So, because I think it's important from a spousal relationship to, like, that's the time we just get to chat and like she'll sit on the couch.
Watch a show together.
Yeah, like right now we're watching the Olympics. I I've been trying to play guitar. So I play guitar while I watch the Olympics. She'll watch the Olympics, maybe do some work on her computer. Or sometimes I'll read while I watch. Like, I'm watching, but I'm, like, reading a book.
Yep.
And so, like, that's, like, one thing in the evening. But I like it when everything's clean. So I can look down. I'm like, the living room is picked up. You
can breathe better.
Yes, because I'm a very overall minimalist kind of person. I don't like clutter. I don't like extra stuff. Like, I want, like, what's needed and nothing else. And I like things clean. So I like the room picked up. I like the kitchen cleaned up. But I just like organization.
Do you know what I said to my mom the other day?
No.
I told her that I remember like 5 years ago, I used to have like the way I used to remember I was into like wallpaper, plants. I had like a Pottery Barn living room.
Yeah.
That like was everything had
like,
a place.
I feel like you had 5 different wallpapers in your bedroom in a year.
I literally
you changed furniture like 90 degrees and you'd put up a new wallpaper.
Yes, I changed my when I worked from home. I used to literally redo my house all the time because I was living in it every day nonstop. So like I was constantly changing things. I remember 5 years ago telling my mom when I was working from home that someday when I have a family, I'm not going to have toys everywhere and decorate with toys. Like, meaning I don't want like a toy chest in my living room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh my God, now I have children and I'm like, what the hell was I saying? Because I am totally team decorating with toys right now. They're everywhere.
It's like you try to suppress it and it's just going to burst out.
Yes.
And this was literally this weekend. I turned to Gina, so I had cleaned off the kids. This was about a month ago. Did a deep dive of the room. Cleaned off all their dressers. I had like the stuff they would need on it. I put all the other like knickknacks that just pile up on there where they should go. And this weekend I looked at it. I'm like, I remember when I cleaned this off. Like, I remember when you could see the counter. Yeah. Now it's just things on top of each other.
Yeah, it piles up.
In a month. Because that's their catch-all, like, for the kids. So part of it is it's in the kids' rooms. I really don't care. But there is times where we go in there and I'm like, I can't even grab stuff off your dresser or put clothes. I can't do anything. And that's when and they're not at the age they're going to do it. So it ends up becoming a couple hour project on a weekend to clean all that stuff out. And when I'm sure like most parents, like a couple hours on the weekend is a big chunk of time.
But they also don't, you didn't even warn me about this. Clothes. Kids' clothes, how quickly they grow in and out of them. That is a whole fiasco in itself.
I'm going to punt that to Gina because she does all the clothes.
Well, actually, I have a ton of your kids' clothes.
But she's always good about going through and organizing.
Oh my God, I'm not.
Here's 3 team boys. Here's 3 team girls. Here's whatever. Here's coats. There's jackets. So we'll get them. She'll organize them. I really don't do much with clothes. I wash them and stuff, but I don't. I collect them all over the house and put them in the hamper, but I don't actually organize the clothes. Yes, clothes are crazy.
And we have 2 of everything in the same size.
I get very skeptical, or not skeptical. When you see, and again, I try not to, I'm human, but I try not to compare myself to people. Like, I try to really make a point of, like, people like go on social media and like, oh my God, that you live this perfect life. Like Instagram's a highlight reel and all these things. So like I put very little stock into what I'm actually seeing versus reality. But when you see these clips, because I'm in the algorithm where I get like clips of kids and families and parent hacks and all this stuff. And I look at it, I'm like, how is your house that clean with children? It's either A, you don't live with your kids, or there's a massive like finished basement that's just littered with toys that we cannot see. So it's like they kind of have like the rooms that they shoot in.
Yes.
And there's one guy I follow. I actually, his content's entertaining. I don't like watch him every day, but when it comes up, I watch it. And their house is super clean, looks super nice. He's also one of these guys that I think deep down we're the same person, but I think his job is to do this. Like he's like an influencer, so his job's to do this. But he's very neat and tidy and clean, and he's pretty creative.
Everything I'm not. I'm not neat and tidy and clean.
Kinda.
Not really. I like stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
you're not a minimalist.
Yeah, like I value like dishes and seasonal china and
things
that,
so I'm
like,
not that. I'm like, give me one plate that can last the whole year.
Stuff.
Like, I want something that is universal that can last 4 months.
Yeah, and I like,
I'm like clothes
heirlooms
the same.
and antiques and things like that.
I can
never be a minimalist.
Like,
but the other thing is I hate like the houses that look so empty, they're not cozy to me. Like, it doesn't look like a home.
Yeah. So I'm.
Your house is a home. Like, you have living things. You have pictures on the wall. You have plants.
Yeah.
You have stuff.
Like, I don't have a good eye for... I have a good eye for clean. I don't have a good eye for decoration. So, like, when it comes to, like, home decor, Gina doesn't have it. I don't really have... I have actually a better eye for home decor than Gina. But there's a lot of stuff where I'm like... Like, perfect example. About a couple months ago, I built a new bookshelf. Like, when you walk in, kind of like a mud... We don't really have a formal mud room. So, when you walk in, it's like a closet that... I don't know. It's like a built-in shelf, and you can hang coats and stuff. And a lot of people...
Isn't it right to your right when you walk in?
In the front door. Like out the porch.
Oh, like when you took pens, like when you...
We used to have a bench there. So the bench was just like a black bench with a cushion on top.
Okay.
And there wasn't much. So I ended up getting rid of that. And I bought this other thing that I constructed that ended up being like the same idea with the bench on the bottom. Mm-hmm. But it goes up. So then you have hooks on it. And it's got like this couple little areas that you could put like hats and gloves. But people usually dress it up with decor. Mm-hmm. So I would look at that and be like, I don't know how to dress this up to make it look like it's home decor-y. So right now it is just a black coat hanger thing that looks cool, but there's nothing to like spice it up. I would be one that I would like stuff to make it nice, but I don't want it where it looks like it's overcrowded, where like it looks like a minimal design, but fancy enough where people are like, oh, that looks cozy, but it's not like cluttered with knickknacks. I'm not good at that stuff. So I would have to like look at Pinterest, but then I'd be like, all the stuff I wish I could just, and maybe they have this. I'm like, that Pinterest one looks cool, and give me all the links to everything in that photo. Just click buy, and they send me all the links. I just put it up as they have it.
Yeah, I feel that.
Where like everything's already there. I don't have to go search for what it is.
I follow this girl on Instagram. She's also a twin mom. That's how I found her. Her name is also Anna. Fun fact. I think her name's Anna Kaiser, Keizer. And she is somebody that, like, on the surface, I look at her content and I'm like, yes.
So it's probably going to redirect me.
So I look at her stuff and I'm like, she has the cleanest house. But then if you go looking into it deeper after I followed her for a long time, like she constantly talks about her playroom. There is nothing in the playroom. Nothing. There's like 6 things. Like, look at that. See the toddler must have video.
Yeah, that's...
So to me, I'm also like, at what point, though, are you, like, putting your minimalist lifestyle over them having, like, fun with the stuff? You know what I mean?
Correct.
Because I also feel like her house could be beautiful. It's a Pinterest dream, but it's beige. That's it. No fun, like, personable things. It's not cozy. Yeah. She doesn't decorate. It's literally just brown baskets. And then she posted a video that made me absolutely insane recently because her kids are they're about the same age as mine, but they're both girls. So she has 2 girls. I have 2 boys. She posted a thing recently, and she was freaking out about the condition of her living room. Her living room, like, I'm not kidding, had nothing in it besides a couch, 2 chairs, and a coffee table. That's it. She took her chairs and put them on top of the coffee table to prevent her kids from climbing onto the chairs onto the coffee table. So her house looked like she was just like moving, which she was getting ready to move anyways. But she was like, I don't like the look of a baby gate. So she put the chairs on top of the table because she liked that look better than the baby gate. She thought a baby gate was like a loss to her home decor. And I remember watching it and I'm like, you sound crazy because 1, your house looks crazy, and 2, who gives a shit about the baby gate? We're all living in this era together. Like,
I think there's a psychological issue with that.
Why
without
are you putting
knowing
your
her,
chairs on top of the table.
So what I like if someone went to look at my house, they would never go in and say, oh my God, this house looks like that. Nowhere even close. I would say things are, when I talk about cleaning, my thing is I don't like garbage. So if it's like scraps, if it's garbage, if it's wrappers, if it's just like random pieces of paper, throughout the day, if I walk by and I'm one of those people, if I walk by and I see something that shouldn't be there, I pick it up and move it. So that is putting something in the garbage. That might be one of the kids just toss clothes in the middle of the living room floor. I'll grab it and put it in the hamper. Yeah. Like, not like go grab it, make a special trip, but like if I'm just passing through, I grab it, and that's what my weekend entails of. I feel like it's just these little moments where you're just putting stuff away. And the kids' rooms we organize a couple times a year. Other than that, there's always stuff on the floor. There's stuff on their dressers.
Yeah.
They each have, besides their blanket and their pillow in their bed, they probably have 50 other items. And it's cushions, it's stuffed animals, it's Legos, it's toys, it's dolls,
Books
it's whatever.
and all that stuff.
And it's like you can barely.
I have a lot of your hand-me-down books too.
Oh, we have a ton of stuffed animals if you want them. So like, but the idea is like, to me, I don't care. It's their space. It's their kid space. I only get frustrated where like I can't walk on the floor or I can't put something on their dresser. And that's when I'm like, okay, let's reorganize this. Or if I open up their closet and it's just starting to like build up with stuff on the floor, then I'll get to the point where it looks not that psychotic, but it looks very clean. Like there is a level of like, it looks tidy on my end, but I'm not like, I don't get upset that it's bad. Like right now, our kitchen table gets cluttered with stuff. Like it's our catch-all.
Yes,
and that makes me crazy. And I will clean it. We eat at that table once a year tops, maybe twice.
Yeah,
I clean it off.
That's why we took ours down. It was just gathering stuff.
Well, we honestly probably should pull our table down and just put a shelving in there and just leave that as an open space. But it ends up just catching. It's a catch-all. I'm sure there's better ways to do it. It's just like when we happen to have people come over for like events and stuff, I just take the junk off, put it in a bin and put it in our bedroom so people can eat, and then I pull it back off. I would say once every 1 to 2 months I organize that table. Same thing, it'll be nothing on it, and by the following weekend it is now like, I wonder how these 15 items got there. And then it's just like a lot of it's garbage. Ground. Well, yeah, it's a dumping ground. It's like the kids
use my stairs as a dumping ground too. You know, the stuff that you mean to bring upstairs, but you don't go up right in that moment.
See, I wouldn't do that. We sometimes
I do that.
Gina will sometimes put stuff on the. We only have one stairs to go in the basement, so she'll sometimes put stuff there. And if it is, I usually just grab it on my way down. I probably go up and down our basement stairs 5 times a day minimum. Weekends, 10. Between laundry, grabbing stuff out of the basement. In the weekend, I do like projects too. So we have like extra food down the basement, like our perishables that we can just put down there. We have laundry. We have my tools are down there. So if I'm doing projects, I'm constantly just going up and down. Like weekends, Sunday I was lazy all day, and it was probably my first true like I'm sitting around really doing nothing all day in a while. Like one of our kids were gone to a friend's house. My wife brought our other 2 swimming at my in-laws' place. And I just was like, you know what? I'm going to stay home and chill. I did some work. I organized some work stuff that I wanted to do. I did no house projects because I like crammed the day before.
That's nice though.
But it was a day. It was like, I need just a day with no big projects, no big obligations. I'm just going to kind of go with the flow. And it was very relaxed. I felt refreshed. I need to do those more often. I don't.
But your kids are at the age now where you can do it a little bit more because they're not. Yeah.
But
you're not like wrestling them all day, every day.
But I think back to like, we're talking about that girl or whatever cleaning. I look at our kids are only this age for a very like blink of an eye. Yeah. Like my oldest is now 6, which, and again, your boy's like.
I remember when Crew was a baby.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I know the kids now when they were born, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're going to 3rd grade now. Like, it's wild how fast they grow up. So I see my kids, and I'm like, you know what? We have. It's a house. It's a kid's house. Stuff gets banged up. They have our kitchen, which would freak her out, have pictures all over the kitchen. Our fridge is just covered with magnets and kid stuff and like their projects, and I love it. I love having that. Yeah. My thing is I like a clean counter at the end of the day. I like all the stuff picked up from kitchen or from dinner, and I like a clean carpet, meaning like the living room that we sit in at night to like watch a show or something. Yeah. Our front living room, we basically, our big room in the front. Yep. That's just for kids stuff, which we organized a while ago and really minimized that, which was good. And when I say minimize, meaning it's like you can walk through it now. It's not minimized like there's nothing in there. There's a ton of stuff in there. And then we have the basement and then the kids' rooms. And then our room, like my room right now, at the end of our bed, I have a fold-up table that is my at-home desk. So my bedroom, and I never take it down. So the end of my bed.
That's so funny.
So if I work at the house.
That's where you work.
Yesterday I worked at the house. I had my laptop. I took everything because I like having not a lot of stuff. So I took I have stacks of books and stuff on this table. I move it all to my bed, which means I'm basically moving it to like not even where you are. I just move it like a foot or 2 over. And then I want on my desk my computer, my phone, my noise canceling headphones, and whatever I'm working on. That's all I want on the desk, and like my coffee and water. Like it's very there's no other work. There's no books.
You're a little type A.
Yeah, but if you look at my desk, I don't like a lot of stuff on my desk. I know myself. I get really distracted.
Yeah.
So if I'm one where I'm working on something and this right here has nothing to do with this, my eyes will keep going to this, and I'll be like, I got to organize that because I feel like I'm missing something, or maybe I'm like, I do have to get to that. Yeah. But to me, if I can just remove,
you're like Brady.
But if I can remove all those distractions and I can just work on my task at hand, I'm fine. So like the thing I showed you before we came on, those websites, like I spent that Google sheet. I spent a couple hours this morning on that Google sheet just simplifying down to what you got, because I look at everything and I filter it and I prioritize it. I'm like, okay, these are the things I got to work on. And once I get down to that list, then I print that list out, and that just becomes my to-do list for the next probably 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'll just like pick something off that and be like, okay, today I'm going to build this system out. Today I'm going to build that system, or next week. But it allows me just to narrow my focus down to this is what I have to do, where if I have too much stuff, I get anxious very easily. Like I get anxiety.
I get anxious easily.
Yeah, like I get like anxiety to the point where like
if I have a long to-do
list, it feels like I have like short of
anxious.
breath. I'm like, like okay, I got to get stuff done. And one of my favorite things, I think I said it on the last podcast, maybe 2 podcasts ago, but I got this from Tim Ferriss, who I follow a lot. But he goes, basically, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just prioritize. So if you have too much on your plate, don't do more. Prioritize and do less. I mean, focus on less tasks that you have to get done. So really, it means eliminate all the little stuff where you're like, I got to get this done. And like, no, you don't. Just do this. Just do this one thing today. So I really try to focus only on that.
That's kind of like how I try to approach
life
and every day with my children, because I'm at the point now where I'm like, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. When they go to bed at night, I'm exhausted. They're a lot. We're in a busy, I wouldn't change it for anything, but like every day when they go to bed, I'm beat. I'm like, holy crap. They are running me dry in terms of energy. But like, I think at the end of the day, even since the day I will never forget actually like a month and a half into being like a mom. And we had like, you know, this colic, dairy allergies. We had a hard start to babyhood. I remember one day when my mother-in-law came over and she was like, somebody had asked her how we were doing, and my mother-in-law was like, they're just so chill. Like, they're just rolling with, they're not really like making any lists or anything. They're just like, whatever happens in the day happens in the day. If someone wants to come see them, cool. They just don't really care as long as like everything's fine. So now I'm at the point where I'm like, as long as they're fed, they're happy, their diapers are changed, they got a bath, they went to bed, and the dishes say they don't get done tonight because I'm exhausted and I went to bed at 8:30 after they went to bed at 8:30, I'm like, whatever. But I hate the feeling of waking up the next morning, know that it's lingering there. Like, oh my God, I didn't wash the pots and pans in the sink. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, but then I just try to remember, like, I'm just trying to like be present, enjoy them while they're young. I don't want to spend the time that they're awake doing those things. So I don't like, oh my God, my mom permanently calls me a hoarder because of our piles in our house. And I'm like, Mom, like, you don't have little kids, and no offense, I'm not going to organize the stairs right now while they just woke up from nap and they're all excited and giving me hugs. Like, that's where my brain is right now.
And I think that's something that I struggle with a lot, is the parenting guilt of like being with your kids all the time and like not missing stuff.
Parenting guilt is awful.
Yeah.
Because it hits you all the time.
Well, like a case in point was the day I told you on Sunday where I'm like, I did nothing. My kids went to my in-laws' place to go swimming. And I was, in my head, I was like, I should go to the pool with my kids to go swimming. Now, the situation, what it called for, or what it was, one kid was gone to a friend's. The 2 other kids were with Gina, and the people at the pool were going to be one of her friends and my sister-in-law and a couple of their friends. So it was going to kind of be one of those pool things where the kids would be swimming, whether I went swimming or not, but the conversation was more of like girls getting together with the kids. Yeah. So I was like, I was just burnt out from Saturday, which I was like nonstop just moving all day. So I was like, I'm just really burnt out. Like, I'm just tired. I'm just like, want to relax. And I've been going a lot, doing a lot of stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to stay here. So they left. And then like 45 minutes into that, I was almost I almost just stopped what I was doing and just drove and met him because I was getting to the point where I was like, I feel like
You should be
I'm being a
there,
bad father for not like watching them swim at a friend's house. And then I go back to, I'm like, I literally had all these thoughts. I'm like, I can't be at every single thing.
Yeah.
Not that I physically can't be, but like I need at times just to like be selfish and say like I need an afternoon to just not have kids, not have it. Like I just need I got to get through a couple things, and I always have a hard time with that because I get the parenting guilt of like, can you like yesterday, my oldest was like, can you come play Frisbee with us? And I was like, yep, but I need to go do this and then we're eating. So I'm like, no, because like I'll go after dinner. And I hate even saying that to him, but I also realize I'm like, I'm not just on call for the kids whenever they need me. Like I do have to have boundaries of like, nope, go play with the brother and sister.
You have to feed them, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm like, your food's almost ready. I forgot what I was doing before. But it was like something like I'm just doing this and then we're eating. Like we're not going, it wasn't work. I don't know if I was taking a shower. I don't know what I was doing. It was something where, whatever. And he was fine. Like 2 seconds later, he was like out playing outside with the kids. So like there's memory's short, but you still get that parenting guilt of like, I should do this. I should do this. And I have a hard time saying no. Like they had soccer camp last week. Same thing. There was one, I went to, I think 3 of the days. And then Friday, which they really don't do much, but I was like, I really haven't been able to get done some of my work stuff because I've been going. Yeah. So I like really could use the morning to get through this stuff. So I just decided not to go, and I felt terrible about it all day because I just like wasn't watching them, and half of them don't even play. It's like they're still young. They're still kind of like just going with the flow. But you get that thought of like, wow, like I'm being selfish or I suck as a parent because I'm not there every day. Yeah. And it's a very hard balance, and a lot of it's in our heads because they don't. But I mean, I know they would like me to be there, but I'm also like, I can't just have an unlimited amount of like, I'm just because they're up early and they go to bed whenever. So if you just like did everything your kids did, you would have no time to get anything done or for yourself. Yeah. So it's tough. It's a very tough balance. I don't think anybody's perfected it, but it's.
I also think the other thing I try to remind myself is so for my job right now, it's the busiest time of the year, so I'm constantly like random hours. Nighttime, like Thursday, I have to go to an event for SUNY Plattsburgh. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to miss bedtime. I hate missing their bedtime. I feel like the world's worst mom when I cannot put my kids to bed. And they don't care because Brady's putting them to bed. You know what I mean? Brady always calls it boys' night. When I have to work late, Brady's always like, we have a boys' night. He has a whole song for it. Like, he likes it. But the other thing I have to like remind myself is sometimes it's good for like Brady to be able to go do things alone with them, me to do things alone with them. Because I feel like like a few weeks ago, I had horrible allergies. I was like bedridden. I couldn't breathe. I had a sinus infection actually. I didn't know at the time, but I was like down and out. We were supposed to go to my father-in-law's for dinner, and I was like, Brady, I can't go. Like he wanted us to come swimming, and I was like, I physically cannot sit outside in the heat. Yeah. And like do this right now. I was like, I'm miserable. He left with the boys. Brady was like, I don't think you should be there anyways. I was taking COVID tests because I didn't know why I felt so bad. Lo and behold, it was a sinus infection. He left at like 3:30 to go to the pool, and they don't eat dinner until like 6. Mm-hmm. Like 5 o'clock rolled around. I was like ready to get in the car and go because I was like, I feel so bad. Like I'm missing their pool. Yeah. I'm missing family dinner. Like in the back of my head was like, are they going to be sitting at the table? Like, well, why didn't Anna come? Well, where's Anna? Nobody, they knew I had my allergies and I didn't feel well. Nobody cared. The boys didn't know I was there. He came home. They were so excited to see me. And Brady was like, no, like it's fine. Like if you don't feel well, just sleep, like just chill. But your brain goes like a mile a minute of like, I'm missing this. Just like I'm lucky because I like if I know I have a nighttime event, I can flex my time. Mm-hmm. So like I can go in early that day. I mean go in late that day. So I have like the morning with the boys. Last weekend we had the Village at Dannemora, the Village Fest. Yep. I was in Dannemora like the whole weekend. So I took off the Monday before. So I was home with them all day by myself, and still at Village Fest though, Friday night during the movie, I was like itching to be like, oh my god. I was texting Brady and I was like, did they go to bed yet? And he's like, Anna, they went to bed 45 minutes ago. It's 8:30. Like they've been down for a long time. Because in my head I'm like, I just hate not seeing them. Like it's a weird like stomach. They're fine. Like they don't care. They don't know, but it's like it's like heartbreaking to miss even like a little moment. But then I also have to remember like we also have to like take care of ourselves.
And I look at, there's two things. Number one, kids aren't going to remember it. Mm-hmm. So there's a level of like, even at this age, my oldest is 6. I don't remember a lot from 6. I remember very small moments. I remember even less before school.
Yeah.
Before school, kindergarten. So they're not going to know it. The other thing is I try to put it in perspective of kids right now are very malleable, meaning in their thoughts and how they're developing. And like I've had people on the podcast who talked about this, like children trauma as a young age.
Yeah.
So my hope is at a young age that I'm doing the stuff that they remember positively about me, but it doesn't include that I'm with them every waking minute. But it's like I'm, telling them I love them, telling them I'm proud of them, helping them when they need help, letting them kind of fail, but, challenge and take interest in what they're doing. Like all the stuff that I hope that carries on in adulthood and we have this really solid relationship through our entire lives. But I realize like time, the time part's hard. I also am more home. That's a weird way of saying. I stay at home more now than I ever have since having kids.
Yeah.
So like I don't go to events.
Yep.
I work from home as much as I can. Like if I don't have an appointment, very good chance I'm working from home. Like tomorrow I'm working from home. Honestly, I might work from home another maybe Friday, depending on how that shakes out. But I look at that as, and I don't work. Like, I'm not working nearly as long. I'm working on harder stuff right now, like things that mentally tax my brain harder, so I physically can't work as long. Mm-hmm. But I'm really just trying to put in like a good solid 4 to 5 hours a day if I work from home. And I'm completely gassed out. My brain's like done functioning. Yeah. But then I'm home and I can see the kids and do stuff. So one of my biggest things that, you said it before, if you're tired... Like, end of the night, kids go to bed. I wish I had more energy when putting them to bed. Because oftentimes, at least in our house, right before bedtime, as I'm sure this is with a lot of kids or a lot of families, the kids are usually overtired.
Yes.
They're cranky.
Yeah.
They're defiant.
They're crashing.
They're arguing. They don't want to brush their teeth. Like all this stuff. And I know if anybody's a parent listening, you're like, duh.
Finishing bath time.
But there's a point where you're just like, I'm not rushing you to go to bed, but it's the energy expenditure of fighting with you for 30 and we're pretty lucky. Bedtime takes us about 30 minutes from start to finish. But I know some people have like hours, but I'm like, we don't sleep with the kids. We literally, kids go to bed. Like we've never laid in bed with our kids. Like, and not like we don't love our kids. We just have never. Once like bed is for them, like our bed's for us, and we've done that since they were born. And so they go into bed and they expect like we don't have to sit with them to fall asleep. So it's pretty quick for us, but it's still a solid 30 to 45 minute like negotiation every night to get them to go to bed. And the problem is during that time, like we're tired, that whole thing doesn't help any of us. So I always find like trying to keep my wits about me and not like freak out on them and not just get to the point where I'm like, okay, just like shut the lights off and go to bed. Where I do want to read a book. I do want to hear them talk about their day and all the stuff that I like doing. But it's hard because you get to that point and you're just mentally just shot. And you're like, I used to work a ton at night. And I can't anymore. Like when the kids go to bed, I have every intention. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sit and like work for an hour or 2 hours before bed. And now I'm like, you know what?
Just chill.
I just want to chill.
Yeah.
And I used to get upset, and now I embrace it. And I'm like, you know what? Like last night, I was like, I'm going to organize some of the stuff I was going to do today. Going to get a jump on it or read a book. I'm like, nope. I want to do something where I'm not thinking. I just want to sit.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was like I said, I was playing guitar, which I guess is a level of thinking, but it's more of like relaxing. So that kind of stuff to me is what I do, but that's another guilting thing is like at night where, and I think you'll get this more when you probably do a little bit, but when they can actually communicate back to you where you're like, go to bed and like, oh no. And like they're fighting with you. And
oh
like,
God.
I'm like, dude, just like stop.
Except they know
stop.
they know how to say no and shake their head no.
Yeah, I'm sure they're already.
And they hit me with the guilt face and the fake crying. We're in that stage right now of the massive fake temper tantrums. But you know what we're dealing with? When we put them into bed, if they're not ready to go down or they are overtired, they communicate to each other. They speak their own like twin language. They're the goofiest at bedtime in their cribs throwing. So they each have a stuffy that they go to bed with every night. They have their own bunnies.
But they have their own beds.
Yes, they've always slept separate.
Yep.
So a whole bunch of people are like shocked by that.
But they're close together.
Yes, they can touch each other.
Yeah.
But they've always been in their own cribs, in their own beds. That's how we've always had it with them. We never did like one big crib for both of them, which some people did. They believe that that's better for twins. But our boys, people don't realize our boys started in the NICU and they're separated. So like from the get-go, they were not sleeping together. So I actually strongly believe my kids like to have their own sleeping areas. But the other night, Brady and I watched for 45 minutes on the monitor. We were laughing so hard, like stone cold sober. We had like tears running down our face. They were hitting each other in the head. They were shoving each other through the bars of the crib, kicking each other with their feet, belly laughing. They were so overtired that it was to the point where they were like, we can't go to bed. They're jumping like it's a trampoline, holding the thing. The bed was like rocking against the wall at one point. Brady and I are like, what is happening? And then all of a sudden they both flop onto their bellies and they're out. But it was like drunk toddlers ruling the world.
Do you so this happened recently. The other night I forgot what it was. And there's a couple things that me and Gina will just, this always happens at night, where we're like watching something and we're kind of at that delirious point where you're tired, but you're like still up and you're like, we should go to bed. And then something will come on, usually on TV or something, or we see a photo or whatever. And we just laugh like hard, like uncontrollable laughter from both of us for like 5 minutes about this thing that is so stupid. It's just like, we can't, when you're like, you can't get over how funny something is, or you're telling a story and you can't tell the story because it's so like, you find it so funny. We've had moments. We had one the other day, and I forgot what it was about. But usually it's around like a commercial or what someone said, or I know what it was. And so we were watching the news, and one of the newscasters, they were talking about. So there was 3 people at the news desk. This is it. This is the story. There you had the girl that was hosting the news, and there was these 2 other dudes. And when they have that awkward, like, have to make small talk, which I also find is funny when you're telling the news. Like, we're going to tell the news, but we're going to cut to you, and now you guys got to fill, like, 30 seconds of just random small talk. Like, I don't understand it. But, so they're trying to make small talk.
So what are you going to do this
So
weekend?
the weather guy starts talking about something, about the Olympics. So he's talking about something about the Olympics, and like, oh, it's going to be good weather. So then the sports guy, who I don't even really know who this guy is, he's like, so how's the humidity? So he says, how's the humidity to the weather guy about the Olympics? And he kind of just like said it weird, like trying to fill space. And the girl kind of like looked at him, and then the weather guy was like, and he was kind of like thinking on his feet and just said something. So I was sitting there laughing because I'm like, I feel like, and again, it was just one of those things that was funny at the moment, but I was like, the weather guy is probably like, dude, I don't know. It's France. I don't know I don't know what the fucking humidity is in France, but I could like tell like that's what he wanted to say. Like, dude,
but he's like,
just go with the flow. You're asking me these questions. So he's like, so like, how's the like humidity over there? And he's like, I don't know.
I'm in Burlington, Vermont.
Literally, he was like the weather guy, just like throwing out like, it's supposed to be 80 tomorrow in France, like prepare us for the Olympics, which is cool. He's like, so then I was like telling Jim, like, so what's the dew point tomorrow in Marseille? And I'm like, like all these like weird things that's like, but just the way he said it, and like then he knew it, and he kind of stopped and looked like weird at the screen, and we just started laughing for 5 minutes because we just kept making comments about it. But it was like moments like that. A total aside, but do you guys have that?
Yeah, but it's also when we're like exhausted and like just having like you know what the other
do you ever
do you ever put him to bed and it's like last night we had a night where they were so overtired. James refused to nap yesterday, but we went to my grandparents for my papa's birthday. My grandma sugared him up on cake and icing and ice cream and all the things. So he's overly exhausted, miserable, fake crying, throwing a temper tantrum, running around my grandma's house naked. And Brady and I are like drenched in sweat because it was just like wrestling crazies. And I forgot what I was going to say.
You guys laughing.
No. So then, do you ever have the moments, not the laughing, but after you finally wrestle them to get into bed, bedtime routine's done, you come down the stairs, you feel like 10 pounds lighter, and then you and your spouse just sit on your phone in silence and scroll for like 25 minutes? We just like want silence.
I've had it before where
I'm like so overstimulated sometimes.
There's times, like I've done it before where the kids go to bed, I walk into our room, and a lot of times by that point in the evening, like my phone needs to be charged, so I usually just throw it on the charger. So I come back, and I usually just go grab it, and because it's right by my bed, depending how I feel, sometimes I will just flop down on the bed for like 10 minutes, and, you know, you might scroll, I might check a text, I might like whatever. Just like check my phone after maybe an hour or 2 hours away, and so I just like lay down for no other reason than just to like to take a pause. Like it's just like, okay, now I'm gonna get up and do whatever.
Breathe again.
Because like I always have stuff like once the kids go to bed, I have stuff I want to do, and it's something could be small, could be something usually stuff for just me, or you know, I look forward to the evenings. Like we talk about little things, talk about like the coffee in the morning. I actually really look forward to, and again, love my children, but I love when the kids go to bed and I have like
that quiet
time, anywhere from like an hour to, depending how late we stay up, 3 hours, which is not as much. Usually like 2 hours, where it's like, okay, we just have like some time to ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's like that quiet at night where it's like we might be watching a show, maybe watching a documentary,
or just sitting in silence,
TV. But it's just like
just like staring.
It's just
at the
like
walls.
whatever. But it's like relaxing. I'm like, this is a little bit of time for just us to chill and do whatever. And sometimes we don't even interact. Like sometimes it's like,
literally, that's like sometimes where Brady and they are screaming at us so much that I'm just like, the minute the door shuts, I walk down the stairs and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, it's so quiet.
Yeah.
Like I can just breathe.
Yeah.
Like I can just be.
It's tough. But again, I go back to it's a small period of time. So there is stuff I put on the back burner. A lot of like career stuff, which I've done, which is fine. Like I will make that trade every day of the week. But there's things that you like, you bring down and say, I'm only going to be able to give this effort today, or this, like realistically, this is not going to get done this week. It'll get done this month, type thing. And then usually, like I said, weekends is when I can give like a house project, and I try, depending on the extent or how involved they are, to do one house project a week / anywhere from 3 or 4 depending on time. So like my big one on Saturday was just like completely clean the garage out, like pulled everything out, like clean, swept, organized, whatever. Like I did, which took me hours.
You're doing better than me.
But there's different level. But I'm also like I have a hard time sitting still. Like when you think of like old guys that just like tinker, I'm 100% could be a tinkerer when I'm older.
You're like my grandpa.
Yeah, I just won't be able to sit still.
My kids are tinkerers.
I'll have a hobby.
Like, oh my God.
But it's like I can't just like if you said like, hey, why don't we just like sit there and watch TV today? I'm like, no, because I can be doing this, and it's just like something I want to complete, and it's just. But to me, it's a anxiety of like things have to get done. I have anxiety on things that have to get done. It's a tough one.
This is a random question that I just thought of. What were your kids' first words besides mama and dada?
Cruz was Bob, which was our dog at the time.
Okay.
And I think he's the only one I know. I feel like the other two was probably Ma, whatever.
Okay, so
I don't think Dad was ever a first word for them.
We have now entered like little words are happening all the time now, but James and Elliot now say hi. It is the most amazing.
That's their first word is hi.
Hi. Hi. Galen, they say hi to me like 492 times a day. Constant. The other day I was picking him up from my mom's after work. The whole drive home. Hi. And he does this with his arm. It's the most like full arm wave. But we've now had ball.
Okay.
They'll bring you a ball and they'll say ball. And then just recently, I don't know who was at my house. Someone was at my house and my kids are obsessed with books. He brought the book over to whoever was there. I don't remember who it was, and handed it to him and said, book.
Yep.
Book. And I was like, what? They're like speaking English.
So, well, when you said that, did you ever watch Arrested Development?
No.
It's a great show, but there's this kid called Anyong Bluth, and Anyong is what they say, but Anyong means hello in Korea, and the family doesn't realize that's not actually his name. So they must have said, like, what's your name? So he said, Angyang, like, hello. And they're like, Angyang. So they keep saying Angyang. He's like, Angyang. It's like a running joke.
So he's just saying hello.
He just keeps saying
and
hello.
Angyang.
So that's what they call him.
Yeah.
So when you said hi, like, it sounded like, hi.
I'll be
hi.
like the other day we were at the farmer's market. We're walking past one of the booths, and I go, James, can you say hi? And he puts his hand in the air, and he goes, hi.
That's great.
He knows. He gets it. And yesterday we walk into my grandparents' house. I go, I'm holding James, and I said, can you say hi to Grandma and Papa? He starts waving to him, and all of a sudden you hear him go, hi, like so loud, so proud. And I'm like, the little like baby words are hysterical. I can't stop laughing. They don't mean to be funny either. It's just hilarious.
I was trying to have a follow-up question. I don't. I'm gonna move on from kids though, because I gotta ask.
Hi.
Hyong. Angyang. Yeah. So it's I guess the informal word for Korean. Did you ever
Simone
take any?
Biles just won a gold medal, by the way.
Why you don't?
Oh, sorry. I didn't know you don't watch it like live.
I do
Sorry.
watch it. No, it's okay. That's okay.
Oy vey.
Just don't tell me the event though, because I'll.
Well, what does Simone Biles do? I think everybody knows.
Well, I know there's like, I know it's gymnastics.
Not swimming.
I know it's gymnastics. I'm saying like they have different events in gymnastics.
Oh, okay.
No, I try not to like look at social media during the day because I know it's tape delayed. So I try just not to watch anything with Olympics, so then I can watch it live. So, which is not it's not a big deal. Like,
fine, sorry.
So it's just. Do you watch the Olympics? Mm-hmm. Okay, so like every evening.
Did you watch the water polo the other day?
Yeah, it's wild.
That is so intense.
What do you think the hardest Olympic sport is?
Mountain biking. Did you
I
see that guy
too.
fly over his handlebars?
No, I saw the girl win.
Oh,
though.
God. Yeah, this man flew over his handlebars the other day, and I was like, holy crap. Actually, no, you know what my new obsession is? I've been reading a lot about it. The surfing in Tahiti.
Yeah.
They're saying that it's like the most intense wave to like possibly ride, but there's a reef underneath the surface.
Okay.
So it's the wave that they're going to be surfing. Well, I shouldn't say the wave. The waves, because there's more than one. Apparently, they're so intense in that area in Tahiti that people can get like severely injured because it pulls you under so deep, but really shallow. The reef is right there.
So they were hitting into the reef?
They could hit the reef if it's a bad enough fall where they go deep enough, if that wave pulls them under far enough.
So basically what they're stating,
I have
the hardest sport is, now this is Summer Olympics, keeps coming up as water polo, which I believe. The thing is, if you watch water polo, they're treading water the entire time.
Yeah.
And then you also have to vary your sprint. So it's kind of like if you're playing a sport, like you're jogging, you're sprinting, they do the same in water. And then I was watching, they had a camera view of them underneath. Their legs are just like kicking like mad. And they're like boxing each other out like you would in basketball, but you're treading water.
Yeah,
so instead of like just standing on a court
hard.
pushing back.
That's exhausting, actually.
So, yeah. And then they're swimming. And I heard this about water polo players. That's excessive. That's a big wave.
That's terrifying.
So I heard this about water polo players is a lot of them get dehydrated and cramp up because they're in the water sweating, but because they can't really tell they're sweating, they don't drink enough. So if we're out, if we're out running and you're just sweating, like I sweat like crazy. So like I know like I'm thirsty and I'm just like drenched in sweat. In water polo, you just get out of the pool and you're like, I don't feel muggy, I don't feel sweaty. Because you come out of water.
Yeah,
but you're
I've
so
never
depleted that they cramp a lot because they can't register that they're cramping. I'm sure these guys at a higher level, but they said water polo, you'll see a lot of cramping going on purely because, like I said, they're just dehydrated and can't tell. Gymnastics, obviously, I watched the men's last night. It is unbelievable how good those guys are with just body awareness and body strength and like when they can just put themselves in positions because their core is so strong. Yeah, it's unreal.
It's kind of creepy.
Like I've done movements where like you're hanging and doing stuff. That's really shallow.
But like, see how the reef is like right there.
Yeah, I'm saying that's shallow, like under the water.
So yeah, they're saying that they have to have the skills to know how when they fall to safely fall into the wave, but also not fall.
I saw a guy the other day standing out because he was standing in the water and the water was up to his knees. So he was a spotter basically. So they knew that was like even though it looked like water, he's like, no, the shore is only this. Like you can't go here. So I don't know anything about surfing. But they had like people standing in the water, basically like, this is a low mark, don't come here. And when the person was standing there, it was only up to their knees. It was like going down like a Sable Beach.
Yeah, almost like a sandbar in the middle.
Yeah, that's what it was. But it was enough water where you couldn't see it, so they could just spend whatever. It is weird though that surfing is, I think they said it's 10,000 miles from Paris, and it's like South Pacific, which is like almost
or Polynesia, I think Tahiti is.
Which I'm surprised they put it there and not closer, but I don't know how surfing is. Like they're surfing off of Portugal.
Well, there were a lot of issues about where they chose to put it because the surfing stand that they had to build, it's drilled into the reef. So they did a lot of damage to the reef.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to construct the Olympic site. So it was very controversial, but then also, I mean, so then the other thing is, like one of the headlines I read yesterday was with the surfing. The headline was something along the lines of, are they taking it too far by asking the Olympians to surf that wave because of how dangerous the spot is? And then a whole bunch of people are like, no, it's the Olympics. You want them to surf the biggest wave. So I think that's part of why it is where it is probably because of the level of complexity.
I mean, the people, I would think, this is the thing with sports. Like there's an Olympic committee, and unfortunately, I feel like the Olympic committee is very much the same as like government involved with schools. Like you have people that are in a position that don't really know what they're doing. So you hear a lot of like teachers are like, this is insane what we have to do, and it's all state mandated. It's kind of the same thing. Like if the was it OIC Olympic or the IOC, the Olympic Committee, International Olympic, IOC. If they have people saying this is how you got to do surfing, and then the surfing governing body's like, dude, you don't want to do that because they know surfing. Yeah. Like I would think naturally you would default to whatever that sports governing body is, meaning like golf is being played. You would defer to USGA or RNA, which is the two big governing bodies of golf. Yeah. You wouldn't say like the IOC is running they're involved because of logistics, but the actual sport, I think, should come more from the nuance of the people that really understand it. Like gymnastics, like you should have the gymnastics committee versus the Olympic committee. But again, and maybe they do that, I don't know. But you always wonder when these big events where there's criticism of like the course or the surround or the grounds or whatever, and it's like, well, why didn't they make it perfect?
Well, I would want to go to Tahiti.
Have you ever been to an island like that?
And like Tahiti? Hell no.
I mean, like Caribbean,
no.
Any of those things?
We were supposed to go to Barbados, and then I got knocked up.
Well,
yep,
it's your own fault. We were supposed to go to. My answer is no. I went on one cruise, and we went to Jamaica and one of the islands, Grand Cayman, maybe. Yep. And we went to a little island in Mexico. But I've never been to like an actual resort. I've never been to an island for an extended stay.
I have been to Paris, though.
I have been to Paris too.
Yep.
But we were going to go to Turks and Caicos for a honeymoon. Gina got knocked up, and we never ended up going.
It's a pattern in our lives, apparently.
Yeah, we never took a honeymoon.
That was supposed to be Barbados was supposed to be our honeymoon.
So you guys never went.
Do you know the first person that I told that I was pregnant was Brady's grandparents because they were our travel agents? Really? The same day I was supposed to give them my passports for our stuff to confirm our reservation for Barbados, I took the positive pregnancy test.
I think I was in your top first 30 people you told.
Well, I don't know 30 people, so I can tell you were.
20?
You were probably in my top 10.
You told me early.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like, does Phil know this yet?
Yeah, because
Phil knew it, but...
I remember I was here and I was sick. Remember you were painting?
No, that's not when you told me you were pregnant.
No, but I came here one night and I remember I was really sick.
I knew you were pregnant. You already told me.
Yeah, no, I told you I was pregnant like right off the bat.
It was early to the point where I was like, does Martha know this?
Yep.
But I think you did. I think you told them like that.
The first person I told besides Brady's grandma and papa, Ann and Mal, who own Lake Champlain Travel. My mom was first. Linda Johnston was second because she is a midwife. She was second, and she had to keep. So she knew I had a positive pregnancy test, and she never told my father-in-law because of like HIPAA and privacy and stuff. I wouldn't have cared anyways. But she waited a whole week because she knew I wanted to give him a lottery scratch-off ticket. And when they went away on vacation, Linda said they went to Florida. They were gone a week, too. So I called her. I was pregnant. They were leaving 2 days later for Florida. And when they were in Florida, Todd at one point made a comment to Linda about how, we really should rent a vacation house down here. They were in like Jupiter, Florida. And he was like, we really should rent a vacation house and bring all the kids here before we start having grandkids, because that's not far off. And Linda said she had to like turn around and face the wall because she knew I was pregnant. And she said, she was like, I think we're a little late. Like, it's already happening.
I don't remember.
And we told him after, and we told Beth and Scott pretty quick too. So my mom knew right away, just because I didn't really know what to do. And then we told Beth and Scott, I think, the next day. Because I was like, oh my God. Like, because it also wasn't, I didn't have, like, when I told my mom I was pregnant, I hadn't had, like, the confirmation appointment yet. It was just a pregnancy, like, pee on a stick test. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know the
order. But
order.
The first person that found out I was having twins was also Linda. Because she's the one she was suspicious. She was suspicious I was pregnant with twins before I even had, like, a thought that it could be twins. But did you also know the night before I found out I was having twins, my dad at dinner kept telling me, you're going to have twins. You're going to have twins. You're going to have twins. And I remember I got mad. I got really mad. I was like...
The twins are in your family?
Yeah. We have quite a few twins on the Hewitt side. And I didn't know. I didn't know that until after I was pregnant with twins.
I saw this video the other day. This guy was a twin. His wife was a twin, and they had twins.
And their kids' genetics are siblings. Biologically, they could be siblings. So if two twins get married to twins and then they have twins, all the DNA in that second genetic, couples. Yes, would level them out as
that's if both
siblings.
Twins and both.
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, so they're...
So my kids' DNA is technically, like, not identical, I guess.
So if they married two twin girls and had grandkids, those kids could be considered siblings.
Their genetic buildup would technically biologically build up to be siblings, even though they're cousins. Isn't that fascinating? Yeah, it's so fascinating.
I mean, I think it makes sense.
So twins are so fascinating. I've like gone on a deep dive since having twins. Even the pregnancy of like twins is fascinating.
So I also
genetic buildup to conceive twins and like have them and carry them to full term and stuff. It's all really, really cool.
So I've been having like over the last maybe year, like deep, like weird thoughts, like weird thoughts.
Don't tell me you want another baby.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, absolutely not. Not because I love my kids. I'm just saying like we're out of the baby stage. Like we don't want to, like I see people having kids now and me and Jen are always like, we couldn't do the reset. Like we couldn't go back to like square one.
Yeah.
And no, we're very happy where we are. But I've been having these thoughts of like, so there's, this will be full circle. I'm just giving you an example of this, but this is full circle. So this was a thought I had yesterday. And it's not, these aren't thoughts like somebody would probably say like, yeah, that makes sense. But you know, when you start to question stuff and then the answer to the question that you're questioning makes you look at it through a different light, but you're like, of course it was that way. But it just, because I'm actually now breaking it down, it now makes more sense.
You lost me. I need an example.
So I'll give you two examples that I can think of.
Are you talking like deja vu sort of thing?
Not deja vu. No. So like so yesterday I saw this video. A friend sent it. It was a video of the Isle of Man road race, which I found out about like a month ago. It is a road race where they let me see. So if everybody's not seen this, Isle of Man TT, I think is the race. Apparently someone dies every year in it. It is, let me see if I can get a video of this.
What?
The Isle of Man CC. So basically the fastest ever lap. Okay. So they race basically crotch rockets through the city. So Island of Man is this little island between Ireland and Great Britain. England, whatever. I guess they call it Great Britain, is all the isles, whatever. It's a little island. It is still kind of controlled by Britain, but it has its own government, whatever. It's tiny. There's 80,000 people that live on it, so it's about the equivalent of Clinton County, population-wise. It is not a big country. I forgot how many square miles, but it's not big. But they have this race every year where people, I think they race around the island. But again, I'm very new to this. But just watch how fast these guys go. And I was told like 15 minutes before the race, people are like just going about, like driving their cars in this race. So when you think about the speed they're going, they're not like cleaning up the road. So there's like there could be dirt, could be oil spills, could be water, could be sticks, whatever. Just watch these videos of these guys on these bikes.
That gives me anxiety.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if this is playing. Whatever.
And they do this for fun?
Yeah, it's a race they do every year.
This just doesn't
I want to see
seem
like live
smart.
footage. So where I'm going with this. So they. But I want one live like.
Jeez.
So this is a little too cinematic for me. I need one where it's like.
High drama on day
Okay,
5. That's
so
the description right there.
what I just call it the island of, okay, so this, bear with me, folks. This has nothing to do with what I'm actually going to say. It's just the start, but I feel it's worth showing. Isle of Man TT. Like, I don't even want to see crashes. Like, this is scary enough that I just don't.
I kind of do.
No. So watch. Watch this right here. You'll get the full effect. Watch how fast they go. I don't know why this isn't playing. Or sound.
Tech. Oh my god.
So, you could hear that. Maybe just because you couldn't hear sound before. I don't know.
Oh god.
What? Like, just watch how fast these guys come. So people are on the side of the road watching this thing. These guys are going like 200 miles an hour.
Oh my god.
So I saw a clip yesterday this guy showed, and like he was, the physical air was like blowing him back with these people that were going by him.
Oh god.
And the sound, I want the sound because it's like, the sound part's incredible because of how fast.
Oh god.
But look at that, he's gone. So this is a road race they do.
Yeah, that's
But see how
terrifying.
fast that is? They go by you in a.
Oh god. Oh my god.
thousandth
that
of a
gives me
second.
Anxiety.
So they race around. So where I was
See, that just doesn't seem smart to me though.
So this is, I'll just give you a glimpse into my brain, folks. So this thing came, this Isle of Man thing. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to look up Isle of Man. I do a quick Google search. I go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole. Then I find out that people have been living, this is literally my thoughts. So I'm just like, I'm going to just, no explanation. This is just where my mind went. Watched the race, looked up Isle of Man on Wikipedia, went down the deep dive, Wikipedia. Next thing I know, I'm now thinking, or I'm looking at it, people have been on Isle of Man since 6500 BC. So then in my head, I was like, okay, so 6500 BC. Egyptians, pyramids, all that stuff was like, what, 1,000, 1,500 BC, which was old. This was 5,000 years prior to the pyramids even going up. People were on this island, which is crazy because did they have boats? How did they get to this island? Which is in the middle.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is continental drift theory and all that stuff. Or theory. Continental drift, I don't know. But people were on this island, not a big island. So then you wonder how they actually survived on this island, which is kind of like Castaway back then. But then you look at, so 6,500 BC, so 5,000 years before the pyramids were built. Then you go from when the pyramids are built, you're talking 3,500 years till we're around. So you have 3,500 years that way, plus 5,000 the other way. So you're talking sorry, folks, with math here. Let's say 8,500 years ago. 8,524 years ago, since people have been on that. That's thousands of years. So then what I was thinking, I'm like, imagine what 1,000 years ago was for us. Like 1,100. You have almost no... the United States was, less than 600 years ago, the land was discovered by Europeans. Like 600 years ago. So when you go back like in history lesson,
Wait,
obviously
that is so
you had like the Native
mind-twisting.
Americans and stuff that were on, obviously, and they came over via like the Bering Strait, and they came down kind of through Russia and Canada. But when you look at that, so the actual Americas weren't discovered until 550-ish years ago. So when you look at that, that's a blink of an eye in time.
No, literally.
But we have never even, I mean, the Earth is how many billions of years old? Billions of years old. And the Americas were discovered by Europeans. Now, again, I'm saying people were living there, so they technically were discovered by humans prior. But for the actual, like, written, orated history.
Yes, like the United
Or what-
States of America.
Like, and I mean, but just the land itself. But then you can go down, like, even deeper. Like, what was the United States looking like then? They didn't have borders. Countries didn't have borders. It was just land. Like, who put the border where it is in Champlain? Like, between us and Canada? we could be in Canada. It could also been up by the Hudson River. Like I don't know how borders. I mean, I'm sure you could deep dive into it.
Our Champlain branch could be in Canada.
100%. So I was thinking that, and my mind went to like, what's 1,000 years look like from now, where everything is exponentially growing quicker. So think about when you were a kid. Like,
my God,
we're living right now.
We're going to be time traveling in 1,000 years.
Oh, well, before that, I think. And what you're looking at is the 30-ish years that we've been alive, the amount of innovation that's happened that quickly, where if you went 30 years prior to that or 30 years prior to that, so let's say 100 years ago, I mean, the car was like, we've had a car for 100 years. A car, not like the cars we drive today, like just a car that moved. Planes that are 100 years old that were able to go up and just fly like a couple hundred, like what would the Wright brothers fly, like a couple hundred yards or something. So when you look at that those have been 100 years ago.
Well, if you want to go to this island, Isle of Man, tickets start at $3,900.
I actually saw that yesterday too, out of Montreal, and
it will take us 23 hours and 40 minutes.
So there's got to be some connection flights. I feel like you're actually
where you can fly from Montreal to London in 7 hours.
I feel like you could just fly into Dublin, get on a boat, and just take a ferry there.
I don't think it'll be that long. I feel like you would love this Instagram account. You need to look her up. So I have a new obsession. Okay. Her name is Cecilia, and she lives in Svalbard. Have you ever heard of that?
What?
Svalbard.
No.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to pull her up. Her name is Cecilia Blomdahl, and she lives in Svalbard. That's how she talks, though. She's on an island as north to the North Pole as you can get. She's
the most northern person?
Like, that town is, like, one of the most northern.
What's it called? So, sorry, back to...
Her Instagram account is SEJSE. JLIJA.
Wait, I want to come to her in a sec. So the Island of Man is here. So like Liverpool, Manchester, and Dublin. It's kind of like
yep. It's like in a triangle. That makes like a triangle.
It's about a 3-hour ferry ride to get there. I almost think it might be even quicker to go from Belfast.
Okay, yeah. So from there, scroll up.
That's about the same distance.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just looking at ways you could. I feel like you just fly into Dublin.
Zoom out on here. This big overview map. Now scroll towards Norway. Go up.
Hammerfest?
Faroe Islands? No, keep going. Like as far north. There it is. Svalbard. That's where she lives. Did you see that island? Where'd it go? Zoom back in. Is it up there? Right there. Look at how far up she is.
Svalbard.
Yes, Svalbard. Sval, like SV, Sval,
like
Svalbard.
You know what's crazy when you think of like Scandinavia? So you have like Finland, Sweden, Norway. You think you're like in the middle of, like it's so far north,
yes,
which it is.
But then look at how far north that is.
I know. Then it's like hold my beer.
So like my dad loves following her Instagram account too. She has the craziest weather experiences because there's a part of the year where it's dark 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then
they're in. Is it ever light 24 hours?
Yes, that's what they're in right now. It's light 24 hours a day. But she has a husky as her dog, and she walks the dog and stuff. And she has to carry a rifle with her for polar bears in certain parts of the island where she walks her dog. So then a few weeks ago, she had a reel posted, and she gives you like a day in her life and everything, and it's just fascinating to see. Like, she posted a thing, she was craving avocados for lunch the other day, and she went to the store, and it was like $17 for an avocado because they have to send everything in on a boat.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then
it's like Hawaii.
She had posted a video recently, and it was a helicopter. It was during the time when it was pitch black 24 hours a day. So she's standing on her deck, and there's just a helicopter circling their houses. Mm-hmm. And she says, you're probably wondering what is happening. Right now they're on polar bear watch because polar bears have breached into the town. So they were roaming the streets. So they were trying to scare them with the helicopters to go back out because they're protected, I guess. So they were just trying to get the helicopters to like push them out to the outskirts of the town.
I mean, I'm zooming in and I can't even see. Well, I guess there's, wow.
It's fascinating. Her way of life fascinates me. And
can't believe people live there.
She's from Norway. I think she's Yeah.
What's their town? I mean, I'm looking at like.
I think
it literally just looks like a bunch of ice mountains.
But like her accent, I love it. She's living in a cabin on Svalbard, an island close to the North Pole. She's from Sweden. Sorry. She just wrote a book though. Pre-order my book, Life on Svalbard, and I might get it just because I'm so fascinated.
But so what town does she live in? Because none of the.
Guess what is right outside our cabin today? Beluga whales.
Like that's so cool.
Super cute white whales.
It's just they're swimming in front of her house.
Live in pods between 2 to 25 whales,
So-
but this was definitely a smaller one.
Does
which
she
is not
does she have a
uncommon at all. An average for one
Skarbard?
size is about 10.
What's the country?
Svalbard is the country.
Is its own country?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the country. And then there's
Come on, give me some Wikipedia knowledge.
mainland.
It's Norwegian archipelago. No, it's Norway. One of the world's north is known for its rugged, remote terrain. Reindeer, Arctic foxes,
Yeah,
polar
she was
bears.
posting Arctic foxes and reindeers the other day.
Wow.
It's so cool.
So that's what her town looks like.
Yeah.
Which it looks like you're.
You need to follow her Instagram. She posts such fast. Like, this is 3
My
a.m.
name is Cecilia, and I live on Svalbard.
That's
and I'm
9 a.m.
close to the North Pole. And for 4 months,
That's
we have
crazy.
permanent daylight,
So-
also known as polar day. That means that there's absolutely no difference between day or night. Moving to Svalbard from Sweden 8 years ago,
Wow.
I really couldn't grasp what that
8
actually
p.m.,
meant. So here's a full day
10
from
p.m.,
early in the morning to late
midnight.
at night.
That's crazy.
Isn't it wild? The next
1
one
a.m..
we're gonna
1 a.m.
see
looks like it's
sunset
5 a.m. in the
is
mo- or
on
like
the
sun-
end of August,
So
a few
cool.
months from now.
Isn't it crazy though when you look at? I've never even heard of this place. When you look at different locations of the sky, like where the moon is and where
Yeah.
the stars are based on locations, like the height of it. Like this is crazy. So
the buildings even fascinate me.
Like,
that
what-
way of life just fascinates me.
So the other thing, think about this in the world. If you have another just random factoid, but if you think about all the places you could live in the world. So what makes people? I think what makes people stay in certain regions is there's family. So you still have that like the kin, you want to be connected to your tribe or family, whatever. And then number two is just it's what you know, so it's what you're comfortable. Because like I would say, who in the right mind would want to live there?
Yeah.
And then I also am like, wouldn't you want to live in a Caribbean island or Hawaii or Florida or somewhere that's warm?
Yeah.
And then I look at it, I'm like, well, why am I not living in those if I think that's the best
Yeah.
spot?
No, it's
So
true.
it's always funny where it's like what people gravitate towards where they live. Because you see people live in these, I would deem horrific locations.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, it's such a struggle and it's hard winters and just hard people live here. I'm like, cool, then like go somewhere where it's nicer. But I also don't do that. So then I wonder, because there's so many different variations in places in the world that you could just have different climates and different exposures of places. Like, how come more people don't move to those spots?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the reasoning is or what the answer would be, but I feel like
I just can't get over how far north that is.
But like, if you look at, so are we back over Russia? Yeah, that looks Russian. Yep.
That's crazy to me.
Yes, you're right. I think probably the most northern. I mean, Greenland. Is there
That's-
anything way up here?
That has people living their day-to-day
Yeah.
lives.
A lot of them, when you go far enough up, it's usually just like weather stations and things where. I mean, this is so pixelated you can't even see it.
Yep.
There's also a weird. There was something with like the Arctic Circle. I think I remember reading. Someone does live up here, but it's like, again, I think it has to do with like explorer more than anything else. It's not like people go to school there. They're
Yeah.
there because of science, or they're there because of research or whatever.
I also just watched a reel. I don't know if it's an Air Force base technically, but it's in the North Pole somewhere. And the person documented, they compared it to outer space because they said they documented a plane landing and dropping scientists off that are doing like a case study down there for something, well, up there for something. And they said this is the last flight for the next 100 days. They have all the supplies, all the food, all the drinks.
Oh, it's like a mission.
So it's like they drop them off, and then because of the weather, they can't fly any more planes in for 100 days. So
it's
then
probably-
the people can't come and go for the full 100 days. And the person in the reel, I wish I saved it. He's like, so we have to live off of the land, live off of what they bring us, and in 100 days, the next flight will come back.
So
And I'm like, can you imagine?
So I think it's somewhere up here, because I've seen that before. I mean, there's nothing on the North Pole; it's water. So it's like there's no land. So if you look at up here, I think this is where the most northern people are.
Technically, it would be glaciers.
It could. I think they've had ice up there before, but I don't know if it's consistently like
Wait, what do you mean it's water?
the North Pole.
I thought it was glaciers.
I don't think there's anything up there. Maybe I'm wrong.
Am I wrong?
North
Then
Pole.
I feel like a village idiot if that's the case.
Water. Yeah, but I think most people wouldn't know that. I think most people think
Five
that there
things
is
you
stuff
didn't know about the North Pole.
about Santa's elves.
Santa lives there.
We
I
don't
did
always
know
hear
that.
a lot about the place where all the magic
Did
happens.
you know the North Pole is actually in Lake Placid?
Yeah,
Technically,
I know.
Wilmington.
Fun fact. You guys been all
Plot
duped.
twist, it's in
Been all
Wilmington.
duped. Polar orbiting satellites observe different parts of the Arctic 14 times per day. The
But
imagery.
what am I looking at right there?
There's no land at the North Pole. Yeah, I was going to say I don't think so. There's no land at the North Pole, unlike Antarctica. Said it's all ice that's floating on top of the Arctic Ocean over the past 4 decades. Yeah, so I think it's like there's ice up there, but it's not an actual structure. So like the ice can technically move and stuff. Like it's not a landmass. So where I was going with that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's no, because when you ever see a map at the top, there's not like it's not like the north top of the there's like a Antarctica up there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I read this the other day. This fun fact, did not know this. What is the southernmost country in the world? And it is. I'd be shocked if you got it.
Isn't it New Zealand?
And maybe you can see by the map. So there's New Zealand. Very a good guess. And I'm going to say this is I know it is because
That looks very low to me.
Wikipedia told me it was, but like Auckland Island, but I think this is part of like do people live there?
I don't know.
Like, this is crazy when you zoom in, you see like a little town. This gives me like Moana vibes.
Oh my god, that looks like a big old cliff.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that lives on this thing. But okay, so it is not New Zealand.
What is it?
And okay, so I'll tell you, but this is a very odd. It's not something you would expect because it just the way the geography goes. But the lowest southern portion is actually Chile, which is funny.
That kind of makes sense,
'Cause
though.
look how
But
high
I
up-
didn't realize Chile went lower than New Zealand.
But look how high Chile starts. So Chile basically runs almost the entire coast. I say coast. The southern portion or the southern half of South America. It runs all the way below Argentina. And what I found out, obviously Argentina goes very low too. Argentina comes down here to where these islands are, and it actually owns a portion of Antarctica. So a portion of Antarctica is actually considered territory of Chile, which I think is like a little pie here, which I did not know about. So now, granted, Sandwich Islands, like someone lived down in the South Georgian Sandwich Islands, which look at it's got snow because it's towards the South Pole, so it's really cold. Even though you'd say like, oh, it's in the South, it's like, well, it's South, but it's you know, it gets colder as you go from the equator. So all these islands down here is just really, really cold spaces. Like, and then you go down to here to Antarctica. Like, I don't know how many places there are in Antarctica. I know there's bases and stuff.
I really only know about bases. I didn't even know people like live
I
there
don't think,
for fun.
but I don't think people live there for fun. I think it's like bases and scientific
Wait,
research.
did I just say Machu Picchu in the Antarctic? Zoom back in there.
Machu
Did you see
Picchu?
that? It looked like it said Machu Picchu. Yeah, look.
Oh,
But that is not where Machu Picchu is.
it's a base. It's probably where all King George Island. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are explorers, you know, and they obviously name it after things.
Look at how blue that water looks from the satellite, though.
I know it's insane. And you go down here, like there's a lot of big like national parks through here down like south in Chile and in Argentina, like big mountain ranges, like Patagonia's down here. So like, but when you actually like look at countries and look at the world and how it's shaped, and I know it's crazy. Like you learn like countries when you're a kid. Like you know where France is. You know where like, you know, Egypt is and all these things on the map. And then you start finding out countries that you've never heard of. And then you start seeing these islands and these things of like, wait, people live in that location. And then you start thinking like, what do people in that location view the Earth as? Because we have this like view of like what we always see the Earth look like. But you have other people that they only see the Earth from this angle.
Yeah.
It's very trippy.
Do you know what my first like legit obsession with a career was when I was a little kid? Guess what I wanted to be when I grow up?
Cartographer?
No.
Is that a map maker? I think so.
And I was obsessed with Egypt, and I wanted to be an Egyptologist.
Is that a thing? They
yes,
study
I had a Google it. I had a book.
Egyptology?
I had a book on Egyptology. My mom even took me to the King Tut exhibit. I was obsessed with Egyptology.
Of Asian area studies.
Yep, I was obsessed. Could not get enough of like pyramids, mummification, the artifacts found in like a tomb. I was all in. And then I also wanted to be a taxi driver because I loved to drive. Meanwhile, I was 8. I didn't know how to drive.
Like, how wild is this? This guy opens the coffin of the 18th dynasty pharaoh Tutankhamun, King Tut.
It just fascinates me. Yeah, so we went to the Tutankhamun exhibit in Montreal when I was young. I still have a little King Tut head that I got in the gift shop. My mom also took me to an exhibit in New York City that was on Egyptian fashion from back then, and it has like old outfits that they would have worn. I was like, when I tell you I was obsessed, I like couldn't get enough of it. I actually, to this day, I would love to go to Egypt. I don't think it's the safest place. My mom had a friend and her father lives in Egypt. So he shipped me a box of like Egyptian memorabilia when I was young. And it was like an Egyptian tambourine.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I still have it. So it's really cool. But the stuff that I used to like read about Egypt was just fascinating. I couldn't get enough of it. But the pyramids in real life, I guess, are like unreal. Like totally... Like, you can't even describe them because of how amazing they are.
I think Egypt, when this is the other thing too, you look at Egypt, which is obviously a major superpower back then, very historical, and but then when you go off of that too, there's like how many other things in other parts of the world, like whatever it was, so 5th millennium BC to 4000 AD, whatever, that's kind of the time period, so 9,000 years. So or 9,000, 9,000. So 9,000 years. Then you look at, okay, there was people in North America at that time. There was people in Japan. There was people like Australia. But you don't hear about them because they probably weren't, they had no way of discovering these artifacts or had no way of orating or written history or whatever, languages. So it's funny when you look at and the reason I'm saying this is like if you look at everything we've known 30 years, blink of an eye, and everything that we know today, how long did it take before we got even close to what we are today? And you think of like discoveries, like who was the first person, when you think of anything, who was the first person to do anything in life? Who was the first person to drink water? Who was the first person to come up with the idea of coffee? Who was the first person, like when you think of foods, like who was the first person like to test out an antibiotic? You don't know. It could be a death sentence. Like, and you look at all these people like, well, let's attempt, I don't know, to figure out how we can make, who came up with the first pizza? Who came up with the ingredients for that? Who was the first person to go try a berry on a branch?
Yep.
They're like, oh, what's that? Like, let me
how
just
do
put
you
it
know
in my mouth.
Poison?
Why did they put it in their mouth? They could have just like played around with it. All of a sudden they smelled it. Like, let me just taste it. Like,
have you ever heard of the Tutankhamun curse?
No.
You should Google it. It's mind blowing.
Is this
about the people who opened his tomb? Because they said so I watched a documentary on it. There was some sort of curse. There was a reason they didn't want you to find his tomb.
Okay.
And the people who did, they all like died. Like, it's weird.
It's a curse alleged to be cast upon anyone who disturbs the mummy of an ancient Egyptian, especially a pharaoh. This curse, which does not differentiate between thieves and archaeologists, is claimed to cause bad luck, illness, or death. So the
people who opened Tutankhamun's tomb, they all had horrible things happen to them.
So King Tut, like, also look at this, just that mask.
Yeah, the detail.
That's discovered
crazy.
25 AD. is a gold funeral mask of the 18th dynasty ancient Egyptian pharaoh. So from 1334 to 1325. So this guy reigned for 9 years.
Yeah.
9.
And he died young.
After being buried for over 3,000 years, it was excavated by Howard Carter in 1925 from tomb KV62 in the Valley of the Kings. It has been displayed in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo from 1925 to present. The death mask is one of the best known works of art in the world and prominent symbol of ancient Egypt. It is 21 inches tall, weighs 22 pounds, decorated with semi-precious stones. The ancient spell from the Book of the Dead is inscribed in hieroglyph on the mask's shoulders. Restored in 2015. It was glued back on by museum workers. Something fell off. Intended for Queen Nefertiti. Is that how you pronounce her name?
Nefertiti, yeah.
That's not Nefertiti.
Nefertiti. Oh, I don't know what that one is.
I mean, it might be Nefertiti short.
I don't know.
Look at that name. Good Lord.
I just know my friend Brooke was Nefertiti in the Celebration of Time.
There you go. But I think
Luke West was King Tut and Brooke was Nefertiti.
But look at this, like prior. Okay, so here's people.
He died I think he was like 18.
Look
he
at
was so young.
Held the throne for a brief 4-year period.
You know who's going to fact check my Nefertiti reference? My sister.
As she should.
God.
Because I'm just going off of Wikipedia.
But no, you need to find the curse. The story of the people who opened the casket. A whole bunch of them died.
Tut to common curse.
Yes.
Curse of the pharaoh Tutankhamun. Oh, it's a whole thing.
Yes, there's a movie. I watched the whole documentary.
How wild though is that? Like, they came up. Well, no, I mean they made the pyramids obviously, but they came up with this mask. Like just the fact they came up with this mask is wild.
Underneath
Howard Carter, alongside his financial backer.
Hundreds of years escapes the ancient doorway. Like imagine being the person who opened that.
Look at that. At the mouth of the tomb with the boy, hot air trapped for thousands of years escapes the ancient doorway. Like, how sealed up was that thing? Wow.
Statues.
I was struck dumb with amazement. You can see anything was all it could get out of the words, yes, wonderful things. After years of searching, the pair had found the final resting place of the famous child king, uncovering the most well-preserved tomb in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. Which is, imagine coming up on something like that. You open the door and you see that. You're like,
yeah,
whoa.
I would die. Like, what? Look at that. That's fascinating.
Became instant celebrities, but all was not well for long. Legend has it there's an ancient curse associated with the mummies and tombs. Disturbing these embalmed remains have been said to bring bad luck, illness, or death. Shortly after unearthing King Tut's tomb, Carnarvon, who was not the main guy. Who was the main guy again? I've already forgot his name.
I forgot his name too.
Howard Carter. So, was found dead. Mosquito bite on his face had become infected, leading to deadly blood poisoning. And he would not be the only death, illness, or unlucky circumstance. Carver's half-brother also died from blood poisoning. Another guy died from mysterious illness. One guy died from fever following the visit. Objects from the tomb were given as gifts to Carter's friends, whatever, whose house burned down not long ago, and his house was flooded. So the deadly ancient curse or a circumstantial coincidence. Thank you for your... Oh, that's it. That's all they give us.
Yeah, so the documentary I watched goes more into detail about, like, some other random things that happen. But it's weird, and it's things, like, where you're just like, okay, but, like, that's too curse-like to be, like, dismissive of it. It's creepy.
It's wild.
And I totally believe in, like, energy and stuff like that. So at the same time, I'm like, I just can't imagine what the energy in the room was like when they opened that tomb for the first time after thousands of years.
It's unreal. And this is when it just goes back to, like, historical, like, Pompeii or the Roman ruins. Or
I've always wanted to go to Athens and see the Parthenon.
Yeah,
too.
the Parthenon. Yeah. Like, when all these things were built, and you start going into China and Japan and their history, and it's like, it's unbelievable how these... It's just, I mean, now you look at it, and I'm sure thousands of years from now or 1,000 years from now, someone's going to come in and be like, Because again, if you look at like the Pantheon a couple, 2,000 years ago, take 2,000 years from now, what do they see of whatever we've built? And what we've built is, the growth is unbelievable. When you take like skyscrapers that are 100 years old tops, and skyscrapers now dwarf those skyscrapers. Like if you had a building that was 4 stories back in the day, now anytime you see it in a major city, like if you go to, I remember seeing the Alamo in San Antonio. The Alamo looks like a little stone shack, just like in life. Like I mean, you just look at it and like that hotel is bigger, that bank is actually bigger, like, and then that restaurant's bigger, and it's just this little thing that looks so out of place now in our world because it's just been overgrown. Where back in the day when you're like, what did the Alamo look like? It was the Alamo and fields, and now it's like the Alamo's like engulfed with all this, just these buildings.
Well, this goes to Plattsburgh history, but that, you know, the building downtown that looks very out of place, the Key Bank building. Yeah. The guy who is, he's like a real estate developer in the area. He's a retired professional hockey player. He wanted to turn it into a boutique hotel. Did you hear about all that?
Rumblings.
And then it got declined or denied by the city council. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I get you guys are protective of the building or for whatever other reason or conflict of interest. I don't know. But that building is so out of place already. Like, it kind of would have been cool to turn it into a boutique hotel.
I think historical stuff has a place.
I don't know if that's historical. Is it?
Yeah. Well, what I'm getting at is I think historical things have its place if things are kept up. So if you look at like the pyramids, obviously, like they're pyramids. So people aren't going to be like, I'm just going to tear down the pyramids and build a house here. Like they're not going to do that.
No.
But when you look at stuff, that, especially in smaller towns, like that old bank building, and I'm like, okay, first off, that bank building was erected in some time, probably 100 years ago, which isn't astronomical.
Yeah.
It's
and
not
it's spelled
it's not
with
old.
the G, not the H.
Yes. I mean, yeah. But if you look at, I mean, just that building alone, there's a ton of buildings around here that are over 100 years old, like a bunch. And so it wasn't like it was a super, super old building. It wasn't the first building in Plattsburgh. It wasn't anything crazy like that. So when you get a building like that, because it looks more, because it's got the big columns and it's got, you know, it has some architecture to it, to me, it has been just completely neglected for as long as I've been along. I know there was a bank there. It was one of those banks that I don't think, I mean,
That's where I opened my first checking account.
which is crazy because I've been in that building before, like since it's been listed, but I'd never gone in as a kid. It always looked really cool. You see it all the time because it's just right in the corner, but you don't appreciate. You don't like sit there and like look up at the columns. I actually went on the roof of it. It's really cool too, like the view. But when you look at it, it's like it wasn't really being used for anything inside. Besides the main lobby, the rest of it's kind of, you know, not really
dilapidated.
It's not really anything to write home about.
But it has such cool history.
But to me, it's like you have a spot, it's prime real estate, turn it into something and make it usable instead saying, hey, we're not going to vote. And again, I don't know the whole council deal because I'm not on the council. I'm not privy to all the conversations. But I do think there's a lack of innovation and progressiveness with a lot of the voting.
I agree.
And to me, things change over time and people can't be stuck in their ways. You can have like, you can have nostalgia. You can have the, you know, I really remember those traditions and stuff. I think that's all cool. But
you had someone who was willing to do something with it and make it nice for the city.
And
it would have looked cool. It would have been cool. I think it would have been cool.
I think voting something down if it wasn't used as maybe something that was going to be like just take, again, I mean, I don't want to get political, but if you take like down by the water, the fact they haven't developed that and all the bullshit excuses and all these things you hear because people are just stopping it, it's like, now, if someone's trying to build one-off thing for like a business there and like, listen, we really want to kind of turn this into more of like a community thing. But like if you have people that are going in to build it into a community setting where it's like we have all the stuff, we're really trying to make this a vibrant waterfront. I mean, we're called the Lake City and have no lakefront. I mean, it's kind of a joke.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
no, it's true though.
So if you look at...
But it's the people who are complaining that it's not there are also the same people who also block things from happening. Which
is a shame, and they shouldn't, like, in my opinion, obviously they're voted on, so I mean you can't fight it. But my thing is like if you have people that, I think everybody should always be looking at evolution and evolving. And I think if people are stuck back in the olden days of whatever, like I get it. People have this, they want consistency. People are resistant to change, but the world's not resistant to change. Change always happens. So the people that are just, in my opinion, they're just like, they end up being this dam in this river, are just setting the area back further and further. Because there's no real reason except we just don't want to change. But then it's like, okay, but everybody else and all these other places are changing and they're benefiting, and we're still stuck in the past. So by the time we come around to it, we're going to be, really at a disadvantage. And I never understand that. So
I guess it was also a grant.
Well, I mean, like
a $2.5 million grant that would have fostered a boutique hotel on Brinkerhoff.
Yeah, and I don't know all the, like, it's always tough because I don't know all the details, and I'm sure it's like when you see like a bill get passed and everybody's like, oh, here's the headline. I'm like, yeah. But it's 1,000 pages. It was probably not passed because there was something on page 632 that they're like, hell no.
It would have been a 10-room hotel. They expressed concern with the development deal. A conflict of interest and alleged lack of transparency combined to create uncertainty about the grant application. The idea to add a small hotel to the downtown area was not entirely dismissed, but the project applicant is also the mayor's downtown business landlord. It went to the
mayor's downtown business landlord.
So he owns the building where Chapter 1 is.
Yep. Who I know, if it's the same, unless they sold it. So he owns the Key Bank building, or is a different guy now?
No, he doesn't. He wanted to buy the building and turn it into a boutique hotel, and they declined.
The owner of where City Well used to be, like where Chapter 1 is now, like that whole thing is.
The hockey player guy owns it.
Oh, so it's not the same guy that owned it before.
No, he owns that. He owns a couple buildings downtown.
So he must have bought it from, because I didn't realize that was sold.
Yep.
So okay, so.
Downtown businessman Steve Brody said he's in the process of renovating space for a new business at 30 Brinkerhoff, the old NBT Bank.
He's next door to us.
Yeah. Brody said he likes the boutique hotel idea. Yeah, see,
there's no hotels in downtown. And when they want
and everybody talks about how they want to have a hotel downtown, and I'm like, that would have been your opportunity, but...
And I think having a hotel downtown, I mean, the thing is, if you have a hotel, it's like anything else. You have a place to stay downtown. Everything's in walking distance. I think, and again, this is just a pipe dream. I have no ins and outs of this stuff. But if you were to turn in that the downtown, so if you go down, everybody knows the parking lot I'm talking about. You take the parking lot, you make a hotel down there, then you make it all pedestrian. So you have a driveway that goes in that has parking. Once you park and you walk down, the marina is still there, and the turtle and everything. On the left, you make a big pathway that walks across, and I don't know how far you could connect it. You probably could maybe connect it up to the monument at the Kent Lord House. You could build something up to that point. But you have just a pathway. You make some type of pier where people can go out on. And then you have everything down there is just little shops, kind of like Church Street, where it's all pedestrian. So you have little shops, you have little restaurants, you have little boutiques, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And all it is geared at traffic for foot traffic. So people park, they go down there, and you have little things to just go do, shop, see, eat.
Yeah.
You have some tables out, and it's water in the lake.
We have such a cool area. We should maximize it.
But I think you turn it into a big multi-use area where it's not like one building, it's not one thing, it's multiple. So you have, like I said, it'd be nice to say like, hey, we're gonna go down in downtown, and instead of eating, nothing against the restaurants up on Margaret and on City Hall Place, but you have a couple options. It's like, we'll add another 4 to 5 restaurants down there, if possible. I know everything's got like limitations, but I still think you can have stuff where it's like in the summertime, people go to eat down there. People go. They can go just walk around. I mean, you look at Lake George. Like, do something like you'd have at Lake George. Like something that you have in Burlington. Something that you have where there's water and you're utilizing it. I don't know if you can. I mean, the city beach is further down. It'd be cool if you had a pathway all the way to the city beach from there, where people could just walk along the water.
Cool. I'm actually surprised we don't have that yet.
But the only issue is if you go down, there is residential houses on the bluff there, or it's like on this top. So it's like you'd probably have to have some type of. But you could have it where it goes down and then it climbs up around those houses and then comes back. So it kind of leaves the water for a bit and then comes back.
But it's also just sad because like there's also that. So with the Plattsburgh Air Force Base, there's that building that is completely abandoned. It's next to Billy Jones's office on the base. Yeah. It's always talked about in the news because you can't use the space or anything. So in my head, I'm like, I just hope they don't let that happen to...
I think there was
the Key Bank building because it's in the center of downtown and it would be a cool boutique hotel or really nice restaurant with, I don't know, something upstairs.
But I think there was a whole thing on that with like...
I'm pretty sure there's asbestos in that.
Oh, I'm sure there is. Actually.
Yeah.
But I think there was an issue with people... I did see something Actually, I don't want to get into it, but I do think that
It's just sad.
people have to be a little bit more open to stuff, and I think that's
Except it's also haunted, so I don't want to live there.
well, allegedly.
Allegedly, my butt.
So, but yeah, that's all I can. I just wish there was more innovation. I think as long as people, if you have people that are willing to put money into the area, I mean, they shouldn't have a free pass. There should obviously be like a checks and balance.
Yeah.
But I think overall, there's got to be a little bit more of like, hey, let's really try to push change and kind of evolving
and make it better,
to the forefront.
Make it more fun for our kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and you look at.
Do you know what Brady's biggest dream for what he would want to do in Plattsburgh?
No.
Has he told you this?
No.
Don't ask.
Maybe.
When he's been drinking, don't ask, because he has a whole like business plan in his head. So we both played. For Soccer United and PFC, the AFRAMS tournament.
Yeah. He wants a big.
He wants an AFRAMS stadium in Plattsburgh, and he's like, everyone would come in for, and he's like, and if we were really smart, we'd have a hockey tournament spot, we'd have the fields for soccer, it would be a multi-use facility. And he said, he goes, if someone invested $1 million, I'd make it happen.
I think
he gets obsessed with it.
I think where you need to have that, in my opinion, is up on right next to Cumberland 12 in that big area that's all like open land there. But I think someone bought that land. I just don't know what. You know where there used to be a strip mall up there? Used to be like True Value was up there. It was like kind of where Bailey Ford is now, and then Cumberland 12. That would be a perfect spot.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's right off the exit. It's easy from Canada. It's easy to get up from Vermont. It's easy to get to from the south. That would be the ideal spot. But granted, it's like anything else. Who actually knows? All right, Anna, we're gonna wrap up there though.
Yay! I have to go to Sam's Club.
I got to get home.
I got to go get my kids some diapers and wipes.
Actually, we both have to get home because of kid stuff. So, you know what?
Yeah.
The fun stops, but the fun's just beginning.
Yep.
All right, we're going to end there. If you want to find Anna, just, I don't know, just give her a
Dannemora
Google.
Federal Credit Union.
Just give her a Google. DFCU. Shout out again, DFCU, being a team sponsor this year in the For the Kids Invitational. And hopefully, if I have anything to do about it, or Anna, that'll be the team that wins this year, hopefully, but you never know. And again, we're going to shameless plug. If you have not, check out For the Kids Invitational. We're on social media, but you can just shoot me a message too if you want to be involved. We will never turn away volunteers because it is a big undertaking, and more hands, the better. More hands make light work. So if you want to help out or donate, in any capacity, you can reach out to us at any point. We'd be happy to take your time and money for a great cause.
Yep.
But yeah, that's it. Episode 271. Anna, as always, a lot of fun. We're out. Thank you for listening to the Galen Trombley Show. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share the episode. You can follow me on all social platforms at Galen Trombley. Thanks for listening.